You think you're choosing, but you are actually being consumed. This, my gentle listeners, is the subtle yet powerful illusion of choices. Every scroll, every recommendation, every just one more option is not neutral. It is designed, curated, engineered. And slowly, without noticing it, your attention stops being yours. We live in an era of infinite choices, but very limited peace. You can choose between hundreds of products, thousands of videos, and endless lifestyle options, yet still feel strangely unsatisfied. So, here is the paradox we are sitting with today. What if the problem was never lack of abundance, but excess of it? What if more is not expanding your life, but quietly fragmenting it? Today, we will dismantle the illusion of consumption and rediscover the discipline of enough. Let's picture this. You open your phone for 1 minute, just one, and suddenly you are comparing your life, absorbing other people's desire, imagining things you never needed, wanting different versions of yourself. And the strange part is, it feels normal. Modern life calls this freedom. Unlimited options, unlimited products, unlimited entertainment, unlimited personalization. But what if this is not freedom? What if it is the most sophisticated form of distraction humanity has ever created? Because here is something terrifying. A person can spend their entire life surrounded by abundance while internally starving for peace. You think you're choosing, but often you are being pulled by algorithms, pulled by trends, pulled by comparison, pulled by a culture that survives by keeping the human heart slightly unsatisfied. We often feel a subtle pull, and peace seems to slowly slip away. But what's really happening underneath? Modern psychology has a name for this common feeling: the paradox of choice. Psychologist Barry Schwartz, a pioneer in this field, explains that while choice is necessary for freedom, too much choice creates anxiety, regret, and decision fatigue. Instead of feeling liberated, we become overwhelmed. Instead of satisfaction, we experience doubt. Even simple daily decisions, what to eat, what to watch, what to buy, now drain mental energy repeatedly throughout the day. Think about how exhausting modern life has become. You open Netflix and spend 40 minutes choosing. You scroll endlessly for restaurants. You compare products for hours. You watch reviews about things you were never going to buy. And after all that, you still feel unsatisfied. Why? Because the brain was not designed for endless evaluation. Every decision consumes energy. This is called decision fatigue. And the frightening part is, most of us experience it all day long without realizing it. What to wear, what to watch, what to buy, what to reply, what to click, what to become. The more choices you make, the ability to make good choices becomes weaker. So, I ask you with a gentle heart, if your mind is constantly choosing, when is your heart and soul truly resting? This modern psychological insight finds a profound echo in ancient wisdom, particularly in Islamic understanding, where the heart holds a central, not merely symbolic place. The heart is not just an organ, it is the very core of our being, the seat of clarity, intention, and spiritual perception. It is the compass of our inner world, and it is here that true rest is found. It is in Quran, and one of my favorite verses, and I love to quote it again and again. Verily, in the remembrance of Allah, do hearts find rest. Surah Ar-Ra'd, verse 28. Notice what brings rest, not accumulation, not consumption, not endless novelty, remembrance, stillness, connection. But modern life trains the heart in the opposite direction, outward, constantly outward, towards comparison, performance, towards desire, towards stimulation, and eventually the heart loses its ability to sit quietly. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "Richness is not having many possessions, but richness is the contentment of the soul." Sahih al-Bukhari. This changes everything. Now wealth is no longer measured by what you own. It is measured by how much peace remains when you stop acquiring. And maybe that is why so many people today feel emotionally exhausted despite material comfort. Because the body was entertained while the soul was neglected. So the real question becomes, are we consuming to live or living to consume? This outward pull, this constant seeking is not just an individual struggle. It's deeply woven into the fabric of our societies. Let's gently challenge something profoundly uncomfortable. We do not just consume because we need things. We consume because it has become normalized. It is socially rewarded, even expected. New trends, shiny upgrades, exciting drops, evolving identities. The world constantly beckons. And if you do not participate, a subtle fear whispers that you are falling behind. You feel invisible, or behind, or unsuccessful. But let's pause here together. What if normal is not always healthy? What if the very culture you are striving to keep up with is the silent force draining your inner peace? Allah, in His infinite wisdom, already warned us about this outward gaze, this constant comparison. Do not extend your eyes towards what we have given others. Surah Taha, verse 131. Because comparison, my dear listeners, is not just a social phenomena, it's not just emotional, it is spiritual erosion. And social media has intensified this dramatically. For most of human history, you compared yourself to maybe your school, college, workplace, your neighborhood, a small circle of people. But now, you compare yourself to millions of lifestyles, millions of possessions, millions of curated realities. No human nervous system was designed for this. And the result is a generation constantly feeling behind, incomplete, and quietly dissatisfied, even while having more than previous generation could ever imagine. This realization, this gentle awakening to the grip of consumption often begins with a personal turning point. For me, it arrived a couple of years ago. I did something I did not fully understand at the time. I purged nearly 60% of my belongings. Not because I was chasing minimalism as a trend, not because I wanted a clean aesthetic, but because I had run out of space, physically, mentally, and emotionally. My room was not just full of things, it was full of unfinished intentions. Clothes I didn't wear, accessories and cosmetics that I did not need, things I kept just in case. But slowly, I began to notice something deeper. The more I owned, the more I wanted, and I found myself constantly searching for something new. This was not a sudden realization. It was a pattern I changed a couple of years ago. But the awareness of it came long before the change. And here's what I realized. I was not just owning things, I was managing them, serving them, wasting my time thinking about them, planning about them. And there is an uncomfortable truth about it. This was not just my personal habit, it was normal, encouraged, celebrated. We live in a world where accumulation is seen as progress. More means better. More means success. But no one tells you what happens when more becomes too heavy to carry. And here comes another quiet question, but a sharper one. If I continue like this, what will I remember? Will I look back and think, I'm glad I owned all of this? Or will I realize I spent years accumulating things that were actually unnecessary? Because here's something we rarely admit. Future regret is often hidden inside present comfort. What feels normal today can become noise tomorrow. To truly understand this, we must be honest about the underlying mechanism. What actually is happening underneath all of this? Let's think. Modern consumption operates through a deeply ingrained, almost hypnotic loop. First, it builds anticipation, the thrill of the new, the promise of fulfillment. Then comes reward, the brief fleeting satisfaction of owning something new. Then comes dissatisfaction, the inevitable return of emptiness, the realization that the new thing did not quite fill the void. Then you get back to repetition, the urge to search again, to restart the cycle. Have you noticed a strange familiar pattern? We all have been through this. The package arrives, a surge of excitement. You feel briefly happy. Then your mind quietly starts searching again, and the cycle never truly ends. You like something, you get it. You feel a momentary joy, and then emptiness returns. So you search again and repeat the same cycle. This is precisely why more never truly becomes enough, because the system itself is not designed for lasting satisfaction. It is designed for continuation. And spiritually, this creates something profoundly dangerous, a heart that is always moving but never truly arriving. We have unwittingly turned our homes into storage units of unfinished identities. Every tab open in your browser is another thread pulling at your attention. Consumer culture, in its essence, survives by keeping the soul perpetually, subtly unsatisfied. So, how do we leave this cycle and embrace the discipline of enough? Not by rejecting life, but by claiming intention. Let's talk about a practical spiritual framework. And it starts with the pause rule. Before any non-essential purchase, wait 24 hours. Ask yourself, do I need this, or am I simply reacting to an impulse? Then comes one in, one out rule. That means if something new enters your life, something must leave. This prevents that silence accumulation. Then comes the attention audit. Once a week, ask yourself, what did I consume? And what did it do to my heart? Because attention is your real wealth. Now, let's talk about the digital silence window. Once a week, make sure that you're not shopping anything. No browsing, no unnecessary scrolling. At first, it feels uncomfortable. Then it feels like a relief. Try to practice enough. Train your heart to say, this is enough for me. Not as limitation, but as liberation. Because the heart that knows enough is no longer owned by desire. And with this, we return to the beginning. You think you are choosing, but often you are being pulled. And maybe freedom was never about more options, but about fewer attachment. Our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, lived simply, not because he lacked, but because his heart was not burdened. So ask yourself one final question. If everything you owned stayed, but your peace disappeared, would you still call it wealth? True minimalism is not about having less. It is about needing less to be whole. And that is the real escape, not from the world, but from its grip on your heart. May Allah grant us contentment in what truly matters. Until our next reflection, take care of your heart.
Subscribe now to Reflections, Tadabur with Nadi the Nerd.